The Editor's Desk is your #1 place to motivate yourself, express yourself, and amplify your impact. Our amazing hosts and guests share their stories to help you get where you want to be and where you need to be. And now, on to the show.
Welcome to the Editor's Desk. I'm your host, Brenda Warren, the Solutionist. I'm excited to have you join me here today. There's so much we're going to talk about. I retired from the Marine Corps in June of 2000. And when I did, I didn't have any idea of the resources that were available to me. I made a lot of mistakes, spent a lot of unnecessary money trying to figure out how to do resumes, how to job search, and things of that nature, or even how to start a business. The most important thing, though, was I was lost. Now, my guest today, Miss Lisa Descharam, the executive director from the New England Veterans Chamber of Commerce, is our guest today. And we're going to go to a commercial, and when we get back, we're going to have a conversation with Lisa. Well, maybe we'll start that conversation now. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Lisa?
I sure can. Thank you so much, Brenda, for having me today.
I'm excited to have you here.
Well, I'm excited to be here. I can't tell you how important it is as veterans that we understand what the resources we have for each other. And that's one of the reasons why we have a New England Veterans Chamber of Commerce.
I was just about to ask you what was your rationale for starting the chamber?
So it's funny. I was asked to start the chamber, and I had to think about it myself because chambers are on the decline. They're great resources, but they're on the decline for businesses. But then I realized how many resources that I did not know about when I started my business and all of the different things. So if you think about it, we have the American Legion, which is for all veterans. We have the DAV, the Disabled American Veterans, which are for disabled veterans. And then we have the VFW for our war veterans. But we have nothing for our businesses. And so you have organizations that help our businesses, like the SBA and SCORE, but their goal is not to find those specific veteran resources. And I work very closely with the SBA, SCORE, and the small business development centers up here in New England to make sure that if they get a veteran, they can refer them to me so I can provide them with veteran-specific resources.
Now, Lisa, I know there are several definitions, and could you help our viewers with what is a veteran?
I actually get asked that a lot because a lot of times people don't know they're veterans, and your audience may not understand that. It may not pass their logic test. But, you know, there are two different distinct definitions, the Veterans Administration definition, and then there is the federal definition. One requires full active duty time, which is not training. And, you know, when you're in the Guard or Reserve, you have your boot camp and your tech school that you go to, but you also have your weekend training and 2 weeks out of the year. That's actual training. That's not classified as active duty time for the purpose of benefits as a veteran. So some of our Reserve and Guard get out of the military and they aren't classified as veterans. And so that's why there's the confusion. So I wanted to get that clear so why some people don't know. So if you served in the military and you received an honorable discharge, you can go out to the Veterans Identification Card and the resource list that I gave you for your audience. They will be able to get that website directly. But they can go on and verify their veteran status by uploading their DD Form 214, and then they can get a Veterans Identification Card. And that way they have an ID card that shows they're a veteran. So you know how like on holidays and Veterans Day, if you bring your 214, you can get a discount or something? Lowe's and Home Depot, etc., have discounts. Well, if you don't have a Veterans Identification Card or some sort of card that identifies you as a veteran, that's a great thing to have.
So you don't have to be a retiree to have this card?
No, in fact, retirees already have a military ID card, so they don't need an additional card.
Okay. So this is just veterans in general that have served.
Right. And if they don't have a ID card of some kind, so your disabled vets, if they belong to the VA, probably have their VA medical card, which shows they're a veteran. They might have other forms. Retirees have their ID cards. This would be for somebody who doesn't have some form of ID card to show they're a veteran.
Okay. Lisa, when I retired originally, I had spent 20 years telling Marines what to do, where to go, when to jump, and they would just simply ask me off what and how high. But now that I was a civilian, that type of authority wasn't there, and I didn't know what kind of resources were available. Where do we start looking for resources to help us make this transition from this military mindset to the civilian way of life?
You know, that's a really great question. Every single state has a veterans office. Whether in Massachusetts, ours is the Secretary of Veteran Services. Some are directors of veteran services. It really is all going to depend on the number of veterans you have. And so they each have different titles, but if you look up the Veteran Service Office, you're going to find it. In some states, they also have veteran service officers. That is always the best place for you to start. If you are disabled, I always recommend you go to the Disabled American Veterans, the DAVs, because they have a ton of resources. Even if you are not a member, they will help you. The same with your Veterans of Foreign Wars and your American Legions. Those are fantastic places to start.
Are these resources available for spouses as well?
Yes. You know, it's funny because a lot of times the spouses won't actually go and ask the questions. But if we can get the answer to the veteran by the spouse or the child, absolutely. And even though there are a limited number of resources available for children and spouses, each organization assists the entire family, as well as our Gold Star families as well.
Gold Star? Could you explain what a Gold Star family is, Lisa?
Yes, so there's actually two definitions of a Gold Star family. The one that I actually classify as a Gold Star family and has been part of my entire life is any individual who was killed in combat or in a terrorist act against the United States. The spouse, the child, the brothers and sisters, they're classified as Gold Star. And it's to signify the loss. And the Gold Star mothers have been around since, I believe, World War II. And now the newer definition that some people have been using, not everybody uses it, but some people have been, is anybody who's killed on active duty. Then those family members are considering themselves Gold Star.
When I went to the and I want to say this right, NEVCC website, I noticed that there was a statement that said, "We're stronger together." Could you tell me about that?
Yes, so I'm an avid believer in collaborating. That's just the ultimate thing, and I don't reinvent the wheel. And so we created a webinar series, We Are Stronger Learning from Each Other, because we really are stronger learning from each other. And we reached out to veteran business leaders, veteran military and family member business leaders from across the United States. And we did a webinar series. And it's all about getting the resource information out there. In fact, we had several of the resources who are on this list that I gave you, to include Rosie's list. We had Stephanie Brown on there as well. And we have the information in there because we are stronger together, and we need to be together, and we need to help each other out. You know the old saying, got you six?
Got you six, absolutely. There's something that's coming up I wanted to mention to you. You know, we both have a special connection in different ways to 9/11. When 9/11 happened, I stood in my doorway in my kitchen, holding my baby, and took a picture, not knowing I was going to go to work that day at the hospital here in Goldsboro, and my world was going to be turned upside down. Now, I was at that time retired, but you were on active duty when 9/11 happened. Could you tell us about that?
Yep. I absolutely was. In fact, I was working at the Pentagon on 9/11, doing what I do best, which is work.
Mm-hmm.
So I did the casualty accountability, and then I went into working on the awards and decorations guide. And 9/11 actually had tremendous changes for all of us, more than most people realize. I would not be here today if it wasn't for 9/11. And I don't say that because I survived 9/11. I say that because of 9/11, so many more resources and benefits have been made available to our veterans that we need something like this, like New England Veterans Chamber of Commerce, in order to be able to help our veterans just get through the tons of resources and information that's available to us.
Now, what if, well, let's go back to 9/11 because there's one thing that was missing there. Aren't we coming up on the anniversary? And there were some special things that happened with that you could tell us about?
So we are coming up on the anniversary. It's the 19th anniversary, and I'm an avid believer that we need to remember 9/11, but there is a website out there, Here is 9/11. Here's 9/11 New York or something like that, and they actually have over 500 stories in reference to 9/11. So they're absolutely fantastic. It's people just sharing their stories.
Okay. Moving past that, wasn't there a situation with you? There's something that's unique about you with the terrorist attack about you not deploying. Could you tell us about that, Lisa? I think that's be interesting to our viewers.
Oh, yeah. So what Brenda's referring to is I always say to people when they ask what's unique or different about me that nobody would know. And I always say that the reality is I'm probably the only veteran you will ever meet that has been involved in 3 different terrorist acts and never once deployed. So because of the experiences that I had in my career leading up to 9/11, it really prepared me for 9/11.
And how would you say that preparation has prepared you now as veterans seek you out to maybe start their businesses in light of the pandemic?
Well, I think that's, and I probably should have expanded on that because that's a brilliant connection. Dang, I should have made that one. But it really is because, so as veterans, we actually are more so than anybody else qualified to survive the pandemic because we were trained, every one of us. I'm a personnelist. I'm a paperwork person. And I was trained to work through chaos. I was trained to handle stress in all situations. And as veteran and military members, and to include our family members, because they have to deal with all the same stress and chaos that we have to train for. And that makes us uniquely qualified to be survivors in 9/11. And I think that as business owners, I always say it's easy to give up in 9/11 or in COVID. It really is. But for veterans, military, and our family members, it should be harder for us to give up because we understand chaos and we understand stress. I always say friends may come and friends may go, but our military connection is forever. And it is
Absolutely.
forever. But also, so is our strength to be able to get through anything. And we have all the help around us. We are never alone. You can reach out to any resource that we have, and they're going to be right there for you.
That's amazing, Lisa. And you gave our viewers an amazing resource list that will be available to them at the end of this broadcast. And then I also posted online before you came because you wanted them to have access to it before we talked. And I wanted to hit some of those resources right now. And they just posted it up on the screen. I would like to start with the caregivers because, as you know, because we're friends, a few years back, I had an injury that had herniated disc in my back, and I was in a wheelchair for a while. And the doctor said that I would not walk again. Well, my husband wasn't having none of it. We went to the pool, and we worked out, and I got my strength back. Still have the herniated disc, but I deal with the pain. There was a caregivers program that we didn't take part of because we felt we were financially okay and we didn't need that. How does that program benefit people right now? And I understand there's some changes coming down the pipe.
There are. So there are two different caregiver programs that I love. One is through the VA program, and one is through hiddenheroes.org. So let's talk about the VA caregivers program. That's the one that actually has a monetary benefit for post 9/11 veterans only. So there's two. Mm-hmm. There's the general caregiver program, and then there is the comprehensive caregiver program. However, in October, the comprehensive caregiver program is actually opening up, and phase one is going to include our World War II, Korean, and Vietnam veterans. So those who served before a certain date in 1975. Now, that one has some money attached to it to be able to financially assist. Now, there's a wide variety of criteria, but I highly encourage everybody not to stick to that criteria. And I'm sure the VA is going to hate me for saying it, but, that's me. I still want you to connect with the caregiver at the caregiver organization at the VA, because there's two reasons I want you to be part of the VA caregiver program. One is because if you're part of the VA caregiver program and you use LinkedIn, you can actually get LinkedIn Premium for a year for free. Mm-hmm. And if you're doing networking and resources, that's a really great resource to have. And then the other part is that if you're part of it, you can get assistance. You're never alone. And often caregivers, and I say this as a caregiver myself, so I can honestly say this, we don't take care of ourselves like we should. And Every once in a while, we need that little bit of a break. And so you'll get that if you just reach out, because there's resources out there. Just utilize them. And on that list, I actually did provide a link to how you can find the caregivers through the VA program.
I saw that. Now, I know we won't be able to hit all the resources, but I wanted to hit some highlights, and I want to talk about the Patriots link.
Oh, that was my best find earlier this year, let me tell you. So the Patriots link, and that one brings you straight to the VA blog because it gives a really nice description of it and the link to the Patriot link. That is filled with free resources for veteran, military, and our family members. And they have to vet you. So if you are a resource for a veteran and you offer free services, get your organization into the Patriot link. If you're like me, the New England Veterans Chamber of Commerce, we're in there. It takes a little bit of time to vet the organizations, but every organization in there has been vetted. And it is, there's so many resources in my head, I can't get them out. This does a really great job of putting resources out there.
And by having them vetted, that can give a veteran confidence and a family member that they're getting someone they can trust. Also, for businesses, there's Rosies. Is that correct? Rosies link. How does that work?
Rosies Network. Oh, you guys, if you are a business or if you were looking for a veteran business, Rosies Network is literally my best friend. Although she doesn't know that. I threw her out there. No. Stephanie Brown, who really did a great job with Rosies Network. She built it. And she does two things. One, you can search for veteran businesses. And if you are a veteran, military, family member business, you can get your information out there. She also recently partnered with Google, Google Partners, where you can get your business identified as veteran-led. So check that out.
Okay. Now, for these resources, are there specific ones that you point out for women?
Yes. In fact, I put the women's veterans one on there, and it looks like this is the older list that I'm looking at. This is not the newer one.
Yes.
So you guys need to get the newer one.
I'll get the new updated one.
Yeah, thank you. So one of my all-time favorite resources is on the newer list, and it is the Center for Women Veterans. It is literally a phenomenal organization, and it's all about women veterans. And then they also have, underneath that is the Women Veterans Call Center. And they'll answer any questions, health-related questions. You're having issues, give them a call. You know, as women veterans, you and I both know that we don't often stand up and talk loud and say, hear my voice. We need to stand up, not only for us, but for our past and our future women veterans. I mean, in World War II, there was less than 2.3% of women veterans. Now there's over 2 million women veterans. So we have to take care of ourselves. And I also gave you a link to the June symposium they had. Great information there. Trust me. Check it out.
Okay. Now, also, I see on this list, one of my favorite places because I love to shop, AAFES.
Yes, a lot of veterans don't realize that AAFES has actually opened up to veterans can shop at AAFES.com. And remember, and this is not a commercial for AAFES, but a lot of times they have cheaper prices, free shipping, and tax-free. So for me, it's like, okay, let's see which one's going to be better priced.
Now, I saw something on here, too. It's about veterans launching veterans. On the bottom of here.
That is a program. Yep, Veterans Launching Veterans. If you are a veteran who wants to start a business, has a business you want to grow, so let me tell you, it's your veteran, your military, and your family members. Any one of those could sign up. And one of my favorite things about this program, and I think it's Farley University, it's the Rothman Entrepreneur Center at one of the Fairleigh universities. I forget which one, but it's for all generations. So you could be the daughter of a veteran and you qualify for this program. So absolutely, if you're thinking about starting a business, have a business, want to expand it, utilize this. It's fantastic. They've been around for 10 years.
And one of the things I know that you're big on is about self-care for veterans. And I see on here you have a listing for the national parks and things of that nature. Want to talk about that resource?
So last year, veterans with service-connected disabilities now qualify for lifetime access to state parks. And you can go and they tell you how to get the state park ID card. But it also includes a variety of different discounts in different areas as well. So, you know, we all need to be outside. We all need to take care of ourselves. And if you can do it for free, why not?
Lisa, I want to thank you for joining us today here at the Editor's Desk. There really wasn't enough time to really go over all the benefits that we have for veterans, but we thank you for bringing this resource and for being a resource. I thank you for your service and what you do every day to make sure veterans don't leave their benefits on the table. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Brenda.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been an awesome day here at the Editor's Desk. I thank you for joining me today. Remember, the choices you make today will be the reality you live tomorrow. Choose wisely. See you next week.
Amy Minty combines the hilarity of For Better or Money, the eroticism of For Love or Sanity, the mystique of For Sink or Swim, and the suspense of For Sex or Revenge, making her fifth novel, For Strip or Gamble, her best to date. Get your copy at amyminty.com or amazon.com. Get yours now.